Welcome back. Part 2 of my Bush Series video. We stopped off with the G's, and we're going to start with the H's on. This is the H to the back of the alphabet. And the first one is Kaluk Racing. Jason Halsey. Justin Halsey. It's just, oh man, I'll start this again. If you all remember last week, the video, I was stumbling all over my words. Justin Halsey. And I didn't do the usual. First of all, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really appreciate it and make these videos because I enjoy them, and also because I think a lot of you enjoy it. So please, if you enjoy it, like, comment, subscribe. Mike Carmen. He's a driver owner. So, please, I appreciate comments on these videos. I don't always answer to them, maybe that timely. I try to, but I don't always. Daniel Hemrick. But I do appreciate each comment. I read it when it comes in. But sometimes I'm at work or somewhere I can't answer right away. I look at them. They come in on my phone also. Here's Riley Herbst. So, here's Colby Howard. There's two of them. There's one. It's Colby Howard. 2001. He's 21 years old. Here's the second one. Project Hope. Talking in the first video how some of the sponsors, some of the cars have sponsors like Project Hope, American Diabetes, donors, medical donors. So, I mean, it's good. For this one is Hope Foundation, a lifespan of autism. There's another one. Looks like that's a tribute to. Looks like either his grandfather or his father. A lot of these racers come up through the ranks. Some come from racing families like that you saw. And just because they come from racing family doesn't necessarily mean they're all stars. There's a lot of racing families that were just like local stars. And then, the son, daughter these days, or Brandon Jones. Someone in the family is a big racer, a good racer, and moves up in the ranks. So, that's always been the way it's been. There's Alex Labby. You go back to the most famous names. They're the Pettys, of course, the Ellisons. Then you got the Bakers. Earnhardt's, of course. Corey LaJoy. I like that Scooby-Doo car. But you got a lot of famous racing families, but then there's smaller families that are known at the local tracks. You probably got one by you. So I got a couple of race tracks by me. I got Sycamore Speedway, Sycamore, Illinois. Rockford Speedway, I believe, is still around in Rockford, Illinois. There's one up in Lake Geneva. So, I was just, if you enjoy racing, even if you don't enjoy racing, it's a good night out. Friday, Saturday night, go to the race. Go to your local track and see all the local stars. I mean, they're very accessible. The stars were usually, depending on how the track is set up. But, a lot of tracks, because of the number of races they have in a night, they have several shorter races. Because it's a smaller track, they have to have heat races, which means, maybe 10 cars at a time, and a winner moves on to the main show, the main race. But because of this, they have a lot of cars. There's Jesse Little again. So they have lined up outside wherever they can find place to let them park their trailers. And no such thing as a garage area as the Cup guys have in the Xfinity and truck races. They just park the trailer wherever and unload the car and race. But it's a lot of fun to go to those races. I will caution you, if you do go, they probably soundtrack, but absorbent rates, take earphones. You want to go to a construction store, maybe hardware store, and buy the Jesse Love. Yeah. Buy the noise canceling. If you do headphones, that's always good. There's CJ McLaughlin. Got social media in the back there. Because you're in a closed space, and these cars are loud. I mean, you go see any of these cars, and they are loud. I've taken my kids to a couple of them, and not the local tracks, but I'll never forget one time when I was younger. I was a young father, had one kid at the time. There must have been two kids. I don't know, but for some reason I was taking my oldest daughter to, it was a time trial, not time trials, but it was a test. Oh no, it was practice. That was right. It was practice for I think it might have been the first year Chicago Speedway was around. There's Tommy Martins. So I thought it would be a good idea to take her to the test. She used to watch races with me on TV, and she was interested. So I took her with, and you hear him, it's Martin Massey, Mason Massey. You hear the cars the minute you pull up in the parking lot, and you're going around. I can't do a car. Sam Meyer. So we go in and look around souvenir trailers real quick, and then we go inside, and there's no assigned seats for the Mini Miller. No assigned seats for the practice. So I go sit down maybe 10 rows from front, and they're buzzing by. The cars are buzzing by, and I have all of them on the track. And she just starts crying. Brett Moffitt. The noise was too much for her ears, and she started crying. I thought, well, in practice it won't be as loud because now all the cars are out there. But just one of these things rumbles. Because I think they have no mufflers on them. And they have high engines, Stan Mullins. High horsepower engines, so they just make a lot of noise. But I had to leave. We were there maybe 5 minutes, and we had to leave. And I tried to... Kearney Ogata. I tried making whatever deals I could with her, because we had driven, it was 2 hours from our house to get there. So I had just driven 2 hours to get there, and I'm just like, please let me stay. But she was having no part of it. She wanted to go home. So I took her home. some years later, I took my other daughter, Stephen Parsons. Here's Stephen Parsons. My littlest daughter, the third. Um, oops. She was a big NASCAR fan. I mean, she used to always watch races with me, and sometimes watch them without me. If I was working or something, she'd watch the race, and I'd come home, and she'd be like, "Oh, you got to watch this." Such wrecked the other guy. She knew the names, she knew the car numbers, sponsors. So I took her to race, or to the track, to see the stars. What they were doing is they were having a tire test. Tire test when there's burning pool. Tire test is when Goodyear gets a new kind of tire for their track, and they want to test to make sure that the tire will survive in the race conditions. So that they race around and do so many laps on tire, and it's kind of boring unless you're a real fan. It's really boring. But they have some stars. They only have about 5 or 6 cars usually at one of these tire tests in our burn pool. But I remember it was Kevin Harvick, which is my favorite, and Joey Logano, and I forget who the others were. Those were 2 of them. So we get there, and we see there's about 2 or 3 cars on the track that go by, quick, and then it starts raining. Not a heavy rain that we're like, oh shoot, it's raining, let's get out of here. But like a sprinkle. Just enough to dampen the track. It's Garrett Smiley. But the problem is, at tire tests, you don't have all the equipment that you do at a normal race. So there is no equipment to dry the track. So the track gets wet, they gotta wait for Mother Nature to come in and dry it. So it stopped raining. We're waiting for the track to dry. Just getting our Garrett Smiley. And after a while sitting there and being bored, we had binoculars, but basically the guys were in their trailers in the building. There's Matt Snyder. So we see them come on track, but they're not in their cars. It's Kevin Harvick and Joey Logano in a rental van. And they're going to run track to see if the track's safe enough for them to drive on. So the highlight of our afternoon, because they decided it was not, it was still pretty slick, was Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick was driving, going around the track in a minivan. A rental minivan. And you saw them real good because they had no helmets on. The big windshield van. But they drove around twice. Looked like they were talking in the car. I don't know if they're discussing track or whatever. But they did not end up pulling on track anymore. There's Ryan Vargas. Because they also need to say they didn't pay for lights. Let's sign up there in the gray. They didn't pay for lights, so they decided by the time the track would dry, it'd be nighttime, and they couldn't race, so they called it. So there we go. Both times when I'm taking my daughters to the track, it's been a failure. What can I say? Here's another one, Ryan Vargas. And here's a little one, sponsored by Best Buy. Most likely it's the regional Best Buy or something. We're almost done. Kyle Weatherman, Blank Bank, and it's Kyle Weatherman from Wix Media. Not Blank Bank. I should put these cards back the way they're supposed to go. There's Josh Williams. Alright, wrote Josh Williams in this race team multiple times, different places. Facebook, and then a letter, and SCSE to Josh Williams to the racetrack. And I ended up getting, I'm not kidding, I must have did 4 or 5 of these Star Bright cars. So, some of you do end up getting multiple times because you write the driver and you write the team. You might send a sponsor. So, all sorts of different places to get these hero cards. And then last but not least, this is too big to go in. This is also J.J. Ely. This is loose. So there you go. Busch Xfinity cars. I hope you enjoyed that. Tried to chop the videos down so it wasn't too long. You've been watching a 30-40 minute video of me ramble on about cars. Hope I was interesting. And please watch my other videos, collection of your tour of my collection. And then also Fridays, see the recap video of what I got in that week. So, until next time, may your mailboxes be full of it, whatever you collect.